UVA was the biggest school I was looking at, so having a marching band or not having a marching band really didn't even factor into the equation for me, because I don't think any of the schools I was serious about going to did have a marching band. If my memory serves me correctly, I don't think that the news reports about UVA about to be having a marching band really started to surface until probably after I'd already made a decision about coming. That might be wrong. I'm not sure when we kind of knew that there was going to be a marching band, because I know I've heard Woody say over and over again that Woody Wingfield, recount that he decided to come to UVA over somewhere else because he knew UVA was going to have this new marching band starting up. That may or may not be right. I assume he's right about that. But I don't think that probably did factor into my decision about where to go. But you know, I think his justification for why he wanted to come to UVA was because it would be at the ground floor, starting of a new organization. And I think that's a really good justification. I think that's ultimately what made me feel really great about the experience of being in the CMB. I mean, it's a great organization now, and not to say that, you know, being in it 10 years down the road is a problem, or, you know, being the first year in the band in its 11th year is not as much fun as it was from the beginning. But it was really, I guess it was special for us to think that we're somehow shaping it, and it was really a lot of fun at the beginning. I'm very glad that we all joined when we did. I decided to join the CMB during the fall of my first year, so fall of 2003, once we started hearing that there was going to be a band and who the new director was and that sort of thing. So I don't think I seriously thought about whether or not I wanted to join it until I was walking to the band building. I already started doing wind ensemble, and I think I might have even started in the Afro Pop ensemble in that first year. I can't exactly remember when that happened, but that was a lot of fun. That was a really good group to play. But I remember I was walking towards Old Cabell Hall, probably to the practice room or something, maybe it was to a class, and I was carrying my saxophone, and I lived in Brown College for all my 4 years, so I was going from that area to Old Cabell, probably around McCormick Road or something, and I remember Woody stopping me. I didn't know this guy from Adam, I mean, I'd never seen him before, and he saw me carrying an Alto saxophone case and said, "Is that a band instrument?" I think he said something like that. I mean, he sort of fingered me out and said, "That looks like you could be in band, and are you going to join the band?" I said, to be honest, I hadn't really thought about it, but, you know, I was impressed by how excited he was about it, and I thought, you know, if other people are so excited about joining this organization and starting out, that gives me hope that it's going to be a worthwhile experience. And so that was probably when it first occurred to me that I should start thinking seriously about it, and it was going to be a really worthwhile organization on grounds. So I don't think I made it to that first band meeting that Pease is always talking about, that, I don't know, was somehow a formative experience. I think I had a class during that time or something. But I'm not sure that I had really made up my mind at that point anyway. But meeting other people who were so excited about the beginning of the band was really what made it an exciting experience for me. The first email I can find that relates to marching band was an email I sent to Pease, like, in the middle of October of 2003. I forgot that I had done this, but I apparently was sending him a message recommending what saxophones he should buy for the new band. He didn't follow my advice, but he got the same company. It was not quite the line that I was hoping him to go for, but that was pretty presumptuous on my part to do that. I don't think I'm not sure if he'd even come to grounds at that point. But after that, I've only got a few emails that say, you know, I think they were mostly related to Kappa Kappa Psi stuff that I had. You know, they didn't let us keep all that much stuff in those old email accounts, so I deleted most of the stuff I had from first year. So I'm not really sure how that worked. I think there might have been, to be honest, it was probably just like a statement of interest. That was enough to get you the job. I think we had more practices back then each week than they do today. I'm working on, you know, a weak memory here, but I think it was, like, on game weeks, it was 4 practices a week, and on non-game weeks, at the very beginning, it was 3 practices a week. And then we cut it down to 2 practices a week on non-game weeks, and 4 on game weeks. And now it's down to like 3 and 2, which, you know, frees up a lot of time. And so being in the CMB during the fall would limit your ability to do a lot of other things. I think at the beginning, like, there were some people in jazz band who couldn't do jazz band because it was at the same time as marching band, and that, you know, ruffled some feathers, but they got that sorted out. I was involved in other extracurricular activities, but I usually wouldn't be able to be like an officer in anything else during the fall, just because it would be, you know, you weren't always available in the evenings, and that's when mostly extracurricular activities occurred. But you know, I didn't mind having this sort of regularity to your schedule. You know, it's just like having another, you know, daily class kind of, except it's in the evening. You know, that's a kind of rhythm that you get used to. You sort of miss that sometimes later on in life. You don't have the thing to go to every evening. I did try out for what would have been my 4th year. At first, I had no aspirations at all. Piece came up to me during a wind ensemble rehearsal when I was a 3rd year and put it in my ear that I should try out. And I felt I don't know that I so much wanted to do it, but I felt like I was duty bound to at least try out. Just because I wanted to help the band however I could, and if it might be the case that I would be the best candidate, I thought I should try out. I guess luckily I was not, so I didn't have to do that. I mean, I'm sure it's great fun. I'm not trying to say that I wouldn't have been very happy doing it, but I was apprehensive about, you know, I had to write a thesis during my 4th year, and I was just apprehensive that it was going to be too much of a time commitment. I might not be able to handle it and juggle other extracurricular responsibilities. Of course, you're a little disappointed because you do your best when you're trying out, and you know, it's nice to get validation and know that you're halfway decent at something, because I think I was just very bad at conducting, it turned out. So that didn't work out. But you know, it's validation to know that they get the best person for the job, and that the band is best helped out however you are going to help out. I mean, the audition process is really great for that. If they thought I was good for being a section leader of the saxophone section, I was going to do my very best as that. And I don't know that there, at least at the time, I don't think there was a more fun job than being a saxophone player in the CMB then. I know a little bit about what the band does now from having gone back to this alumni band just a few months ago. And that was my first time seeing the band facility and the really nice setup they've got there. And I was thinking about whether or not this is, you know, you should tell the difference between then and now is, you know, we had to walk uphill both ways to school in the freezing cold or something like that. I don't have any bad memories about the facilities that we had or anything. We did most of our practicing in a big multi-purpose room that's part of the U-Haul facility called the Cage. There's nothing really cage-like about it. It's just a big open box-like room. I think there's like a rubberized floor, and there's some athletic equipment kind of around. There might be some like gymnastic, those rings for gymnastics, that sort of thing. And it's a big echoey, boomy sounding room, and you know, we would have to set up the chairs before every practice, or maybe the facilities crew would set it up for us, but there'd just be these little folding chairs that were maybe, you know, 25 inches off the ground or something. You feel like you're squatting as you're playing, and that really was a lot of fun though. I mean, I have fond memories of being in that room, and I don't know, I'm sure it's cushier and sort of easier to get an idea of how you sound in the new band facility, but I don't regret that we were in the place where we were practicing there. There was a turf field kind of adjacent to U-Haul. I think that's maybe where women's field hockey plays. And that was before the new turf field at the Carousel field was built. So I think we were there for maybe the first 2 years, and then we moved down to the Carsville Hill field. You know, having a crowd there on a Friday night rehearsal or a Saturday morning rehearsal is always kind of fun. And I don't think we had that as much with being at U-Haul. And you always had to load instruments onto trucks rather than put them into the field house. I don't think there's anything in my life today that was like the organizational structure that we had in the CMB, or that you have in most marching bands, but I think what was really unique about the CMB was, you know, the sheer volume of the leadership staff, the number of people we had, the sort of, you know, how multi-layered this hierarchy of people in the band was, and you know, it almost seemed like, you know, a military kind of thing. There's a chain of command in a sense, or there at least just was such a structure that everybody knows they had to do. They had a certain place within the larger machine, and they knew who to ask if there was something to be asked, and everybody knew generally that there was some way in which they needed to act like a leader. I don't think that I have been in a line of work or have experienced any sort of organizations like that since. I'm not sure that I'm likely ever to do so again. But I deeply appreciate knowing that such a thing is possible, that people can work together in some way that is, you know, highly structured, highly efficient, that can meet goals that everybody sets their minds to. You know, I imagine it's not probably dissimilar from what happens with an athletics organization. You know, there's a lot of structure the way the football team is set up, but they aren't guaranteed to win, you know, because there's another organization that's battling against them. We kind of were guaranteed that if we set our minds to something, we could succeed, and we would put together a good show. And that does sort of give one hope about, I don't know, if the purpose of education is to teach one to be a good citizen in a democratic society, then the CMB gives you hope that it is possible to organize collectively, to set up rules and habits of action that will lead us all to be civil to one another and to make progress towards goals that we all value. I suppose that sort of instills a sense of cautious idealism, that humans are capable of working together towards common goals.